Today, we will explore different perspectives on learning, from ancient philosophers to modern behavioral psychologists. Our journey begins with Aristotle, a Greek philosopher who lived over 2,000 years ago. Aristotle's teacher, Plato, believed that everything we know is inborn, residing in our soul. This belief aligns with the nativist perspective, which suggests that abilities and tendencies are largely innate. However, Aristotle disagreed with Plato and proposed an alternative viewpoint. The empiricist perspective, embraced by Aristotle, suggests that our abilities and tendencies are primarily learned. To understand how learning occurs, Aristotle introduced several fundamental laws: the law of similarity, the law of contrast, the law of contiguity, and the law of frequency. Now, let's fast forward to the 17th century and explore the ideas of René Descartes, a French philosopher. Descartes proposed mind-body dualism, suggesting that some human behaviors are reflexes automatically elicited by external stimuli, while others are freely chosen and controlled by the mind. Moving on to the late 19th century, we encounter Wilhelm Wundt, who advocated for using the scientific method in psychology. Wundt's approach, known as structuralism, aimed to study the basic elements of the conscious mind and how they combine to create complex experiences. William James, often regarded as the founder of American psychology, introduced functionalism. This approach focuses on how the mind evolved to help us adapt to the world around us. James drew inspiration from Darwin's theory of evolution, which highlights the importance of adaptive characteristics in species survival. Speaking of Darwin, his theory of evolution, described in The Origin of Species, provides insights into how species, including humans, change across generations in response to environmental pressures. Natural selection, the core principle of this theory. Behaviorism is a natural science approach to psychology that places emphasis on studying how environmental factors shape observable behavior. One extreme version of behaviorism is the approach initially proposed by Watson in 1913. Watson's theory of learning is often classified as a type of stimulus response (SR) theory. Known as methodological behaviorism or classical behaviorism, it suggests that psychologists should limit their study to environmental influences on behaviors that can be directly observed. According to this perspective, learning occurs when a specific stimulus becomes associated with a particular response, forming a connection between the two. Watson's specific view of learning was highly mechanistic. Building upon Pavlov's work on classical conditioning, he believed that all learning involves the establishment of a simple connection between an environmental event, known as the stimulus, and a specific behavior, referred to as the response. A major challenge to methodological behaviorism came from Clark Hull, who questioned Watson's rejection of unobservable events as scientifically unsound. Hull observed that physicists and chemists make inferences about events they haven't directly observed, yet operationalize them effectively. Hull believed it could be useful for psychologists to infer the existence of internal events that mediate between the environment and behavior. He introduced the concept of intervening variables, which are hypothesized physiological processes that intervene between a cause and its effect. Edward Tolman disagreed with Hull's approach and suggested analyzing behavior on a broader level. He believed that understanding behavior as goal-directed and purposeful was more accurate than viewing it as a chain of stimulus-response connections. Tolman's molar approach to learning drew inspiration from the Gestalt approach to perception. Hull's neo-behaviorism also contributed to the development of social learning theory. Albert Bandura, who had exposure to Hullian theorists during his training, coined the term and applied Hullian concepts to human social behavior, particularly imitation. Bandura's interest in observational learning eventually made him a dominant researcher in the field. B.F. Skinner proposed radical behaviorism, which emphasized the influence of the environment on observable behavior. He rejected the use of internal events, including thoughts and feelings, to explain behavior. Skinner viewed these internal processes as private behaviors that needed to be explained, just like any other behavior. In conclusion, behaviorism has evolved through various perspectives. From Hull's neo-behaviorism and Tolman's molar approach to Bandura's social learning theory and Skinner's radical behaviorism, each perspective has contributed to our understanding of learning and human behavior.